Hey everyone, welcome to Built Different. I'm Brad McNaughton, president of LUX Quality Homes out of Kelowna, BC. This is episode 1, so let me set the tone right out of the gate. This podcast is about one thing: doing construction the right way. Not the easy way, not the cheap way, the right way. I've been in this industry for over 10 years. I started as a carpenter's apprentice while I was still in school. I grew up on a farm in the Fraser Valley where my parents taught me that you do what you say you're going to do and you do it right the first time. Well, I tried. Those values are why I started Lux Homes, and honestly, they're why I'm starting this podcast. Because here's what I've seen, and this is going to be a recurring theme on Built Different. The construction industry has a massive trust problem, and I'm not talking about some theoretical industry analysis. I'm talking about real people, real families spending the most significant amount of money they'll ever spend in their lives, and they are getting burned. They're getting burned by contractors who don't know how to run a business. Today, I want to tell you 2 stories that show exactly what that looks like. A couple came to us after they'd already committed to another contractor for their custom home build. And looking back, the red flags were everywhere. They didn't just know what to look for, the contractor presented himself professionally enough on the surface. But here's what homeowners didn't catch on: the payment structure itself was a massive warning sign. This contractor wanted 50% of the entire contract up front, and then the remaining 50% when the foundation was done. Now, if you've never built a home before, that might sound normal, but let me tell you exactly why it's not. The payment model only works if a contractor has serious cash flow problems. A professional builder does not need your money to fund other projects. You know what that's called? Robbing Peter to pay Paul. And that's a contractor in financial trouble hiding behind a contract. When this couple came to us and told us about that payment structure, I knew immediately what was wrong. My director of construction, Brody, was sitting in my office when we were going through this, and he said, "Weren't we just talking about this? How contractors do this all the time?" And I looked at him and said, "Yeah." And that's what I want to tell you folks. Even if you don't hire us, don't entertain those people, because that is so wrong. That changed their perspective. They walked away from that contractor, they never hired him, and that's the point. Sometimes the best decision you can make is knowing when to walk away before it's too late. Now, that couple was lucky. They caught it early. But let me tell you about a completely different situation, one that didn't end so well. We were brought in to take over a project from another contractor. Different client, different build. By the time we got involved, the framing and roughing were supposedly complete, because when we went to inspect, nothing was what it should have been. The plumbing failed our air test. The lines were literally blowing apart. The framing wasn't even close to being done, despite what the client had been told. Materials have been charged to the job that weren't even for this job. The client thought they were 60% of the way through their build. They weren't even anywhere near that. Then there was the design side. The original contractor wasn't listening to what the client actually wanted. He was building what he wanted to build. That's not a partnership at all. That's not a professional relationship. That's a guy with a hammer doing whatever he feels like on someone else's dime. And as we kept digging, we found more problems. When we did the final plumbing hookup, everything was tested fine at first until we actually ran water through the entire system. The kitchen sink line backed up. Why? Because it wasn't even connected to the drain properly. It was draining straight into the ground underneath the house. We had to trace the line, find it, and fix it. It was a complete mess. Now, here's the number one thing that should make your stomach drop. The project started with a budget of $1 million. It finished at $3.5 million. And right now, it's in court. That's what happens when you hire the wrong contractor. That's what robbing Peter to pay Paul looks like when it finally catches up with you. I am not telling this to scare you. I'm telling you this because the homes we're building today are not your typical box homes from the 50s, 60s, 70s, or even the 90s. We're building custom homes here in the Okanagan, complex, beautiful, one-of-a-kind properties, and that requires somebody who actually knows how to run a real business. Somebody you can trust, somebody who listens to you, somebody who's honest about the work, the money, and the timeline. When you're spending this kind of money on the most important investment in your life, you can not afford to guess. So let me tell you how we do it differently at LUX Homes. And this is the core of everything we believe in. We run on a fixed price contract model. And before anyone listens up and says, "Oh, fixed price means change orders," no. That's what happens when a builder throws together a number, hands you a contract, and figures it out as they go. That's not a fixed price. That's a guess with a signature on it. At LUX, our fixed price actually means something because of what becomes before it. Our pre-construction process. Before we ever break ground on anything, we go through an extensive planning phase with our clients. We call it the preliminary building agreement. It covers architectural drawings, design, interior selections, engineering, detailed budgets. Every single detail gets locked down before construction starts. We sit down with our clients, our design team. We go through every room, every finish, every fixture. We get quotes from our trade partners. We lock in real numbers, not estimates, not allowances that blow up later. real committed pricing. And then that becomes your fixed price contract. So when I say fixed price, I mean the price is fixed. We're not going to name our boat change order. We planned it properly from the start. Think about it this way. You don't buy a truck on a cost plus basis. You walk into the dealership, you pick what you want, you see the price, you pay it. You can add options, you can upgrade the trim, but you know what you're paying for before you drive it off the lot. Building a custom home should work in the exact same way, and at Lux it does. The planning is the most important part of any build. I don't care if it's $1 million, $2 million home, or a $10 million home. If you plan properly, you can get all the details up front ahead of time with all the right decisions and professionals involved, because you have a process that works. And that's what we've built, a process that works. Now, if you're a contractor or builder listening to this, I hope you take something from it too. I know what some of you are thinking, Brad, you're giving away the playbook. Yeah, I am, because here's what I've learned. The more I talk about how we run our business, the more people see there's actually a better way to do this. Clients see it. They see the way we know our stuff. They see the way we have systems and processes, and that makes them more comfortable trusting us with their biggest investment. Transparency is not a weakness. It's the biggest competitive advantage you'll ever have. So if you're someone thinking about building a custom home here in the Okanagan or anywhere really, here's what I want you to take away from today. Do your homework. Ask about payment structures. If someone wants 50% upfront, that's a red flag. Ask about the pre-construction process. Ask if that price is truly fixed or if it's just an estimate with a handshake. And if the contractor can't answer those questions clearly and confidently, that tells you everything you need to know. Building a custom home is supposed to be one of the best experiences of your life. You're designing how you actually want to live. Don't let that contractor turn that into a nightmare. Hire a professional who runs a professional operation. That's what Built Different is about. I'm Brad McNaughton. This has been episode 1 of Built Different. If this hits home for you, if you know someone who's about to build or someone who's in the middle of a build and something doesn't feel right, share this episode with them. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leave a review if you got value out of this. And if you want to learn more about how we do things at Lux Homes, head over to luxqualityhomes.com. I'll catch you guys on the next one.